up? What's up? It's your girl, Jules Jesse. Welcome back to another Thursday episode of Clapback Culture. I am so glad to be here. Happy Friday Eve. And guess what? It has been a week. This week has gone by so quickly. And we're back again, you guys. So this week, I have a special guest coming on the show to help me do the show. Her name is Yukia. She is my friend, my colleague, my good girlfriend, and she is the host of the Speak Well podcast. And typically she comes on Thursday nights, but she is off today and she decided to grace us with her presence. I'm going to go ahead and bring her now. Yukia, welcome to the show.
Hi, Jules. Thank you for having me. I find it worthy. I find it amazing and worthy that you would let me sit with you on tonight. And so, girl, here we are. Let's get into it.
Yes. Listen, I'm so glad you could be here. If you guys don't know, I mean, some of us do know that we know each other really well. And me and Yukia, we can kiki, honey. And I see we got our girlfriend Safia online.
Hey, Dr. Hoskins, Gales. Hey, girl. Hey.
Good to have you on. Listen, you guys, it's gonna be a good show because one thing that Yukia and I do is we got some conversation for your butt. Period.
Yeah.
We got a lot of conversation for you. So I got a couple of things I want to add on here, but listen, I'm going to give you a little bit of spiel if you want to tell them about the Speak Well podcast.
Okay.
And they can get to know you a little bit. Let them know.
Okay, for those of you that don't know me, I am a little woman of many hats. I am the curator and the creator of the Speak Well podcast. The Speak Well podcast was birthed a few months ago. It is one of those things that people would always tell me you should do. I always had an amazing time speaking to other people. I always felt like I can encourage people through voice. I always felt like my voice has so much power. And so I just said, you know what? Let me stretch further than where I am right now. And let me just get a mic, get a light, and just speak. And so I'm still kind of tweaking the show every now and then. But I do what I can. And when I'm not on my show, I'm over here watching my girl Jules. And as I said, I'm a woman of many hats. But for now, because we're going to do our journalist thing, so
Yes.
I'm going to share with you the Speak Well podcast. Catch me on Thursdays. My show airs. What time, Jules? 8:00. My show airs at 8:00 on Thursdays. And we'll provide that information at a later date. But listen, or at a later time today. But
at a later time today, it's going to be on here. But she has a YouTube channel. You guys can go to YouTube. The YouTube channel is at Speak Well podcast. Yes. So very easy to find. She's the only one on there. And listen, the show is great. It's hard to toot your own horn. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard to say like what it is, but I am so glad that you decided to jump out here and do the Speak Well podcast because you do have some really great opinions that we're going to get to learn today. And one of the things that you are really great at is you are a curator of the afterlife, if you will. And I know some people are like, what do you mean? And so Yukia has an organization called the Farewell Agency, and I'll let her tell you a little bit more about it. But listen, the girl does the afterlife. So when you think about people who are like party planners, who do birthday parties and baby showers and stuff, Yukia does funerals and the bereavement and grief afterwards. And so she's an independent consultant. She's her own organization. But I bring this up because she was like, Jules, I cannot wait to see Rich Homie Kwan's funeral. I can't wait to see it. I want to know who got the body. I want to know what they're going to do. I mean, it's just, you would think she was watching a wedding. And so I never even really thought about it. Like, this is a thing too. So, I mean, I got the video of his funeral, but before we go to the clip, if you just want to let everybody know, like, why should we be excited about this?
So, first of all, we have experienced a lot of losses in in Hollywood over the last 2-3 weeks. And so when Rich Homie Quan passed, I was like, oh, first of all, when anybody passed, I am always taken back by that because I just feel like people should live forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got the news about his passing, Jules, as a matter of fact, I was on the phone talking to you when the news just came through social media.
Right.
But even after that, I started watching interviews with his father, with his friends. And I said, this guy had a magnetic energy, right? On stage, talking to people. He was always full of life. And so anytime somebody passed away, I'm always concerned about who got the body. Because here's the thing. The person who had the organization / funeral home that has the body, that's going to sometimes tell me everything that I need to know. And I wasn't sure what to expect with Rich Homie Quan's funeral.
But it was good.
When I tell you, you saw how I bragged about it on the phone. Listen, I knew when the flyer was posted, I kept telling my husband, I'm going to Rich Homie Quan funeral. He said, you are? I said, yeah. He said, where? I said, Atlanta. I said, I'll be there. That funeral came on the other day. I sat on the couch. I watched that funeral as if I was in the sanctuary.
Thank you.
I tell you, I watched the pre-show of the people coming and going. The way that his family laid out the rules and said, don't come in here with no rest in peace t-shirts.
Come on.
In other words, don't come here with no foolishness. Because
this is what Ukia said. She said it's not. You would have never known he was a rapper. It wasn't a rapper's funeral. They buried him like a king. Baby. So let's take a quick look at the video so the people can see it.
Yes.
All right, here we go. Let's see. Hopefully this works.
Oh, well, hundreds gathered in College Park at World Changers Church International to say goodbye to one of Atlanta's most iconic rappers who became a legend around the world and helped shape the evolution of trap music. Rich Homie Quan was remembered as a music mogul who had a passion for his craft, but also loved his family, his community, and his fans. The 34-year-old rapper died at an Atlanta hospital after becoming one of the biggest names in hip-hop. Fox 5's Angelique Proctor joins us from the church now in College Park with the latest. Angelique.
Well, good afternoon, Christine. Rich Homie Quan was remembered today as a light who touched and inspired so many people. Speaker after speaker talked about all of his musical accomplishments, but at the same time, they talked about his huge heart. Music and praise filled the World Changers International Dome as so many celebrated the short but impactful life of DeQuantez Lamar, known around the world as rapper Rich Homie Quan.
He was an example of grace. He was an example of mercy and forgiveness, not only in what he gave and what he was willing to receive. He didn't let his pride and his ego and insecurity get in the way of being a good man.
Rich Homie Quan had the admiration of his people. And it's one thing to make good music, but it's another thing to be well respected and to have a whole community and have a whole movement of people behind you.
Quan, as he was affectionately called, was very close to his 5 children, who talked about their father in a touching video. I love you, Daddy. Most speakers talked about the 34-year-old's career as he climbed the charts with hits on Billboard records, but they also talked about his closeness to his mother, Tammy, and his father, Corey, who was his best friend and protector.
I lost my best friend. I lost a kid I talked to 9-10 times a day. I know you're up there in heaven looking down on us. If you don't mind, save a spot for me.
Listen, what a beautiful young man, gone incredibly too soon. One of the biggest things about that clip that showed for me is that he was a father and, he had children of all ages.
Yeah.
And so that really was touching. And we, we're sitting here and we're gassing up the funeral because that is something that we were thinking about. But of course, we're grieving the loss of this great individual who left, so much on the table in music and entertainment and things of that nature. But, back to the funeral, you kid, listen. You
Yeah.
seen the people leaving top hats? I mean, carrying the body out in top hats, full dress suits. I think it's important that we talk about that because in your line of work, what we are seeing is that, and we've talked about it on this show before of like people standing up the body and having them, dripped out in a mirror and chains and everything else. And this was very different. What are your thoughts on that?
I've attended, I've planned, I've been a representative of funerals on both sides of the spectrum. I've seen the Rich Homie Quan funerals, and I've seen the funerals where you're in the Amiri, you're in the Balenciagas. I've been at funerals where you have the families, and this is a no judgment zone. I'm just telling you my experience. I've seen the funerals where families have family members have individuals to get up and speak. They're speaking while high. They can barely read. They can barely comprehend. You're holding up the service. They got to take the mic. Let me tell you something. This man's funeral was dignified. It was elegant. It was respectful. It was tasteful. It was poignant. It was polished. I don't care how he died. Because here's the thing, what your funeral looks like a lot of times speaks to how you live. It looked like every woman in there had on stockings. It looked like every woman in there had on a slip. The men had on top hats, baby bow ties. I have never seen. It looked like every woman had to have her legs crossed at the ankle and not at the knee.
It was interesting to see how well put together. I love the color coordination and the theme there, but I do think it's important that despite how you live your life beforehand, when you are doing the afterlife, it's important that you do a proper send off and that we put some respect on the name of the people that passed. And so because last week when we were talking about it, but during his passing, we were talking about all the women that came out and were showing their videos and being intimate with him and, having this, that, and the third. But it was interesting to see like that was kind of put to the side. And that wasn't the focus. You know what I'm saying? And to your first point, it's like there was no room to have that kind of decorum. Like it was given like you needed to respect that family. What I did see that DC Youngfly spoke. What was he talking about?
He spoke very well. DC Youngfly, you can tell he was raised by a grandparent or a grandfather. He was really yes, Jasmine. DC Youngfly was basically talking about the funeral. This is what we live for. This is the part that we live for. He was basically telling his parents, what do you do now? Everything that you do now, because here's the thing, grief will turn you into somebody different if you let it. DC Youngfly was saying, I can only speak to you because I've been in that seat and I'm still in that seat. I'm still in the seat of grief, but I also know who holds my hand. I also know who's carrying me through this. So reminding the family, yeah, you lost him, but he's in a much bigger, a much better place. And how you respond in this season is very important.
Right.
DC Youngfly spoke so well, he was trending. And I think you've probably seen that, but it is so important. And I want to speak to the point about all of the mothers of his children. Again, when you have family members, mom, dad, whoever your next of kin is, who's in charge of putting your services together, they have to be strong enough to say, we are here for one goal. We're not here for no foolishness. Even down to the obituary. The obituaries, they wrote every single child's mother in the obituary. And so
it was classy.
It was very classy. But I also want to say this, and this isn't even a part of our topic. Ladies, when you're dating a man, make sure you're not dating him so long that you forget to get a piece of paper. Because if you don't get that piece of paper, you will be a special friend in the obituary. Back to you.
Mm. That's a mess. And we digress. Listen, we're gonna move right on into the next story. I don't let's see if we can do this. Oh, do I need to do this? Oh, I put it in as a background. Give me 1 second. I put this in as a background. I didn't mean to. Boom, here we go. Oh, I might have to add these back in. But that's okay. So there's a story, you guys. And as I load these in, there is a crazy story. These kids are getting out of control, but I'm glad that we're getting we're gonna highlight this story because parents, it's time for you to get a hold of your kids.
Please.
There was an 11-year-old child arrested, and of course, can I get it in here? Let's see. Well, as I get it up here, there was an 11-year-old child who was arrested with dozens of weapons and a kill list. And listen, it's alleged that he bragged about his massive cache of weapons and his plans to execute this kill list at 2 different schools before he was arrested. In a Facebook post on Monday, the Volusia County Sheriff Mike Chitwood said that deputies seized a bunch of airsoft rifles, pistols, and fake ammunition, along with knives, swords, and weapons after the 11-year-old identified as Carlos Kingston Dorelli showed this video of this armory to his classmates and threatened violence. He wrote the names of the people that he was targeting, but after being arrested, he says it was all a joke. Well, the sheriff's department did not take that lightly. They pulled up to his house. They arrested him. They perp walked him. And they had him in handcuffs, took him all the way to the jail, and he is facing a felony charge for a written threat of a mass shooting. One thing that I really liked about this is that this sheriff's officer was not playing no games. And when he and there's a video, you guys should go check out the video. When he perp walked this little boy, he did a press conference afterwards, and he said, listen, every single child that I find that thinks this is funny and thinks this is a game, I am going to perp walk them. I'm going to embarrass them, and I'm going to show the world that this is unacceptable. And then I'm coming for the parents. Mm-hmm. And Yuki, in this last school shooting that we saw, I believe it was in Georgia, where the father was also arrested because your son made the FBI list, and they arrested him, and the father is being charged with I believe it is 1st-degree manslaughter. So I'll double check as we talk about that. But what are your thoughts on kids getting access to weapons? What is the role of the parents? What's the role of the community? Should we take these lightly? Is this the next step, or is this going to push that kid to actually go into the mass shooting? What do you think?
So how I think about this is, number one, an 11-year-old. We talking about 11. You're 1 year older than 10. At 11 years old, you should be playing with trucks, going to the circus. You should be doing all of those things. But here's the thing that we leave out a lot. The sheriff, shout out to him. He did an amazing job. I love how he handled it. I love how he handled the little boy. And I love how he set a precedent to say, let somebody else do this, and you're going to get the exact same treatment. Parents need to get their children. An 11-year-old little boy, either you saw this before, you heard this before, and you thought it was okay. But I also want to say, I have 2 children. They both have been 10 years old, and never have they thought or any thoughts like that have crossed their mind. And I'll tell you one thing we leave out. We leave out mental health. We leave out therapy. When parents, I would say this, when you see any difference in your child, when you feel in your spirit that your child is struggling with something or not moving along or moving too fast, beloved, you are going to have to do some research and find out what's going on. Take them and have an IEP. Parents, some parents are in denial about who their children are, who their children are, or who their children are becoming. And so then you with a 21-year-old, you can't tame him. He done shot up schools. He done strangled girls. He or she done turned into a little Jeffrey Dahmer. A lot of times the signs are written on the wall, but parents are saying, oh, that's my little sugar wooger, and he or she would never do that. Ma'am and sir, yes, they will.
Well,
and attention.
There's some folks here. This story is getting ready to break. That there was another student arrested. I don't have the age of this guy, but he was arrested for real weapons, and also a list of the schools that he was targeting here in DC tonight. And that was Anacostia, Dunbar, Cardozo, Eastern, MacArthur, Wilson, Banneker, McKinley Tech, Walls, Bases, DC, Latin, and Cesar Chavez. And so he threatened, this is the Instagram post, and it says, be on your toes. And there was a second one. So it also has the dates that Central High School was going to be September 21st, KIP Elementary 9/22, and Crossland High at 9/25. It just says, yeah, someone reposted it and said, yeah, I'm gonna just stay home. It's cool. So
this is becoming a habit.
It's becoming a trend. It's becoming the thing to do. I'm not certain why when parents have a reclusive child, they feel like they should give them weapons, fake or otherwise, to bring them out of their shell. That's not the last thing you want to do to your child who is provide them with weaponry. That's just not, like, why do we need the arsenal of things? And so most of the mass shooters, or the last couple of mass shooters that we just seen in this last time, they knew their kid was a little bit off. And let's just be honest. If you feel like they could use those weapons for harm, you should get them out of your house. They should not be accessible to your child. And Safia saying this is an important conversation to have. It's a super important conversation to have in the Black community and the white community, because we just see it differently. You know, let's be honest, Black kids ain't shooting up the school, but they might shoot who they feel in some type of way about. But when we talk about white kids in suburbia, they just, when they get upset, they just gonna shoot everybody. You know what I'm saying? And so this is here in our community right now. I mean, Anacostia, Dunbar, Cardozo, Eastern, and so on and so forth. That's our neighborhood right now. So it may be that, what is it going to take for this finally to be done? And so we see this sheriff not playing no games, and we gonna pull it back. So
the village, we have to go back and see. We have to go back to the village, but parents don't want you to say nothing to their kids.
No, they don't.
Please, I tell people all the time. One of our coworkers saw Zuri and said, "I just seen Zuri," and I was there. Where? What's she doing? Go get her. Although she was just across the street from her school. But why? Why? And I text her immediately because, girl, it's always somebody watching you.
Right.
We need to go back to the village. The village is to the kids, not me. I stop you. I'll get you. I'll call your mother. I'll put you in the car. We got to go back to doing those things. But see, these Caucasian kids do it because they know we just going to get a slap on the wrist. Them Black kids know good and well. You go into a school if you want to. Your mom and daddy won't see you again because they're going to shoot you down.
Right. Right. You can keep
So
playing around if you want to.
yeah, we gotta go back to the village, and I just think that we gotta go back to the basics, and that is a part of the basics. If you see something, say something. If you see a child out of line, grab them, snatch them right on up, and say, "Who is? Let me call your mother.
Yeah.
Let me call your father." So I think we got to go back to that.
Well, let me ask you about the girlies, honey. We've been seeing a lot of girls now, some of the girls taking a more modest approach. We saw this in Black China, taking out some of the plastic surgery and things and whatnot. But coming to the scene now is Brittany Renner.
Mhm.
Uh, Alhamdulillah, Brittany Renner is changing it up, honey. She is now displaying on her Instagram page
Yes.
her being more covered and wearing a hijab.
Mhm.
Whereas before the picture, you guys, the picture on the right, she was very scantily clad, honey. She was giving the people something to look at. I mean, she's known for her body, she's known for her beauty, and really just being a model and influencer. She went on Shannon Sharp last year and had a hell of a conversation. She has had her struggles with drinking, and so it's an interesting time for Brittany. But she came on the Instagram platform and was just saying she doesn't know how she's going to be able to provide for her child. A lot of things have changed. Her brand is basically changing because a lot of people are pulling back from her because she's not showing off her body. But she said, Allah has never failed her. And, she's really looking to promote this modesty. And this is her thing now. And it's not going anywhere. And she says, I've gone through a lot of changes internally. And as a result, my outer world has completely crumbled, leaving me incredibly uncertain in just about every area in my life. She hasn't confirmed whether or not she converted to Islam. But again, what are your thoughts on this modesty? What do you think? Is this like, is it for show? What I mean, people are giving her a lot of criticism of this. A lot of the girls are switching up to be more modest and maybe not to the extreme of being like totally covered. But what do you think here?
So my thoughts are this, and I oftentimes speak backwards. My thoughts are this. First, I want to say, Brittany, you're going to be fine. Anytime you transition, the transition is hard because you deal with people, you deal with family, you deal with social media. Social media is a horrible place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything is a joke. Don't nobody believe you. You doing this for attention. They trashed Black China when she was getting tattoos removed. I said, people are crazy. And I saluted Black China for doing that because I'll say this, when you have your aha moment, you will move without even knowing why you're moving. When you have an encounter with something greater than you will know why you are having that encounter. Now,
Mm-hmm.
for her to say, she doesn't know how she's going to take care of her child. See, that's the start of it, right? You're used to making this fast money by body, by modeling, by dates, however. But when you make the transition, because see, God is a God that we cannot see. And it's almost like you got to have nothing but faith in order to get to where you're going or even believe that you're making the right move. Brittany and her decision, she's going to be so big. If
Mm.
she probably will never hear this or never see this, somebody tag her. She's going to make more money than she's ever made in her entire life for publicly making this declaration, right? To shift, whether she shifted, well, even if she didn't accept any religion and she just said, I just want to cover up. I'm tired of showing my body. That's
Yeah.
a really big move when your body has made you so much money. Now, she's not the only one. She is just the one that's trending right now.
Right.
I'll say this because everybody knows this about me. I'm a woman of God. God has never failed. So she will be able to take care of those children. And I believe that we should allow people the opportunity to change their mind whenever they want to. And
Yeah.
as an adult, I always tell people, you can always change your mind. And when I say it, it's like a light bulb goes off. You're not locked into anything. You can always change your mind. And she woke up and said, I don't want to do this no more.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is this girl was spiraling. You know what I'm saying? She was spiraling. When she was going on all these podcasts, she was getting so drunk and belligerent. She was talking about the number of sexual partners that she had. She was talking about being promiscuous. She was talking about all of these things that just literally were not serving her well, and people were laughing at her. And I'm glad that you mentioned it, and I see it's coming up in the comments that people are allowed to change. Yeah, and not only are they allowed to change, to your first point, we have to step back and allow people to change and let them go through that. It's you damned if you do and damned if you don't. If I want to change and be better, I don't understand why people are criticizing that instead of uplifting that. But right now we love a mess.
Yes.
We love some drama. We love some tea. We love to be able to talk about folk. I mean, it's just not given that. And I think for me, I would much rather see her changing for the good than for us to continue to see her spiraling out of control. She's a mother. Like, she cannot keep going. She probably doesn't even have the momentum to keep going down that path. Plus, I'm sure she want to be a wife.
Yes.
I'm sure she wants to be a wife. So I don't know if this necessarily is real, quote unquote. I don't know if she has converted to Islam, but guess what? It doesn't even really matter to me.
Yeah.
It's not my business. I think her putting some more clothes on is always going to be a good look. And we should respect that.
I would add to that. Whoever she was before, whatever she titled herself, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work it takes a lot of work to walk around with a little bit of clothes on. It takes a lot of work to show up and be whoever you're supposed to be in front of these men. It takes a lot of work to prove to somebody that you the girl. It takes a lot of work to be that or do that. And Jules, let me tell you something else. We always knew that Lil Durk was Muslim because he came on the scene speaking, and we would see he would always mention it in his music. Lil Durk just recently changed his name to a Muslim name, and social media tore him up. Social media is, when you try to make a change, the last person you want to go and sit with is social media, because some of them people on there are terrible. And let me tell you this, who Britney was, that sold. People like looking at her with no clothes on. Who Durk was, that sold. You better not change into no religion.
No. And even if it's not religion, like look at what's the girl's name? The girl who's losing weight. Lizzo. Lizzo decided to lose weight. She got beat up for losing weight. She got beat up for being fat. I mean, you can't do anything for the good. You can't do nothing.
You no longer give them something to talk about. I'm not the trending topic no more, because now what are you going to talk about that I'm in a hijab? I'm no longer so as long as people have something that they can trash you about, we have a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, let's take a quick break. But when we come back, it's time for that clap back. And of course, we cannot let this Diddy situation rest. We're going to talk about it. Stay tuned. You're watching Clapback Culture.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to Clapback Culture. Listen, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next topic. Like I said, Diddy, 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 Diddy. Is it giving the Black Epstein? Let's take a look.
Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his sexual desires. The freak-off sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics.
Mr. Combs is a fighter. He's going to fight this to the end. He's innocent.
Sean Diddy Combs is in jail awaiting trial in a federal sex trafficking case. Combs' lawyer maintains his client is innocent after federal prosecutors laid out their evidence today in a bombshell indictment. Welcome, everyone, to the Fox 11 News at 5 o'clock. Simulcast on our sister station, Fox 11 Plus. I'm Marla Tejas. Alex Michelson is on assignment.
And I'm Christine Devine. The indictment comes roughly 6 months after Combs' Holmby Hills mansion was raided. Story we broke here on Fox 11. Now Combs has pleaded not guilty to racketeering and sex trafficking charges. Could mean decades in prison. A judge then denied bail, claiming he could be a flight risk, even if the bail was set at a very high amount. The amount of money that Mr. Combs has could allow him to catch a flight out of the country, so they denied bail. So the music mogul will stay in jail until trial in the federal case. The charges, allegations Diddy held coerced sexual performances dubbed freak-offs, and accusations of shocking acts of violence to keep victims in line.
Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf looking into the court documents, now hearing from Diddy's attorney. He's live right outside Combs' mansion in Holmby Hills. Matthew?
Well, Marla, Christine, ever since that raid about 6 months ago, many people have been wondering if and when this day could happen, but now we're learning exactly what those charges are. Sean Diddy Combs in federal court for the first time, pleading not guilty to sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation to engage in prostitution charges.
His spirits are good. He's confident. He is dealing with this head on.
The music mogul's attorney Tuesday claiming the 54-year-old is innocent.
We made the points that we've been wanting to make. I think he came out. Mr. Combs is a fighter. He's going to fight this to the end. He's innocent.
We recovered 3 AR-15s.
Federal prosecutors now unsealing a 14-page indictment revealing the deeply disturbing allegations.
Kidnapping, narcotics offenses, arson, bribery, drug charges.
Diddy accused of hosting hours and days-long sex acts he called freak-offs, where he allegedly abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct from 2008 to now.
Combs allegedly.
All right. Listen, I could have let that go on a little bit more, but y'all know the story. The biggest thing that we're here to talk about is these freak offs. Again, Diddy is innocent until found guilty. He has pleaded not guilty. I think the worst thing is that he is going to sit in jail until his trial. I never thought this day would come. What are your immediate thoughts?
My immediate thoughts are 1,000 bottles of baby oil is wild.
Super.
1,000 bottles. Do you know, Jules, if you call your mother right now, she will tell you she still has the bottle of baby oil from when you were 6 years old. 1,000 bottles of baby oil is wild.
The baby oil is not for the girls.
The baby oil is not for the girls. The
baby oil and lubricant is for the boys, honey.
Baby, let me
for the boys. Because let me just tell you, Diddy has great taste in women. If we look at his catalog of women that he's dealt with in the past, his baby mothers, he has beautiful women and he's gotten them in their prime. A beautiful woman in her prime has no need for all that baby oil. So that oil is for the boys, honey. And listen, it's no tea, no shade. I don't care what Diddy is into. He's clearly into a lot. He's into a lot. Rodney always says he calls him a freaky Jason. He's a freaky, he is a freaky little thing. I mean, one thing, if you just listen, we just gonna get to it, honey.
Yeah, because listen, friend, I just want to say this. Let me tell you something. Diddy is a bottom, Diddy is a top. Diddy deals with bottoms and tops. Diddy gonna deal with the front and the back for the girl. Diddy doesn't care. And here's the thing: I am not judging. Have fun, Diddy. But
do your thing.
In the words of my brother, the prophet, Cat Williams, when Diddy wants you to party, you gotta tell him no. And friend, a lot of people did not say no.
No, and you know why? And let's get into that, friend, because a lot of people want to protect Diddy's former girlfriend, longtime girlfriend, Cassie.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the unpopular opinion that she is no victim.
Let's get into it.
I'm not. Let's put the domestic violence in a box. Let's compartmentalize a lot of this. Diddy and Cassie. Cassie alleged that Diddy started grooming her at 19. You're an adult at 18. You knew when you started dating Diddy that he was going to launch and accelerate your career. The same way Carisha knew that he was going to elevate her career is the same reason a lot of women date. He is a man with power and with wealth. So we know why you're here and we know why you stayed. It's interesting that while you're in it, you're willing to be in it, because a part of me feels like obviously we don't know the whole truth, but you stayed for years, over 10 years you were in this relationship with this guy, and you're talking now about the number of freak offs that you were engaged in. At what point did you say, you know what, I don't care about the red carpet, I don't care about this music video, I don't care about this, because these 1,000 bottles of lubricant and new sheets is not going to work? I don't know how I could be in a relationship with somebody who coerced me into having sex with male sex workers to meet his pleasure. I mean, it's an interesting and very naughty sexual fantasy that probably multiple girlfriends fulfilled. And you are a part of this and subscribed to this for a number of years. So I guess what I'm saying is, if you knew that was his sexual fetish, why now is it abuse?
Yeah.
Because you did participate in it. And at what point did it turn from, let me indulge in this sexual pleasure with my man, to now I don't like it anymore and it's abuse? And so I don't know. I think it's a hard line, because
it's a hard line, but also it's in line when you discuss it. And I want to preface by saying this. Shout out to Cassie for being brave, right? For coming out with the story. I do not condone at all abuse of no kind. Absolutely no kind. I felt Cassie's pain when she came out with it. The pain ran deeper for me when I saw the video. When I say this is my opinion. And please do not play with my words for those who are listening. I said today, I 1000% believe Cassie's story. However, Cassie was not always the victim. Cassie participated in some of these things. Cassie knew, and here, even if people say she signed the NDA and couldn't go to the police, even if you sign the NDA, and I don't know all the specifics, but even if you sign the NDA, that the NDA don't say you can't leave. So I feel like in the beginning, it was fun. It was beneficial. I do not agree with how he treated her, how he drug her. Now, right. Cassie, girl, you came off big time with that settlement. Big time.
30 million.
Send me $1.
30 million in 24 hours.
In 24 hours. So believe it or not, friend, there are some more Cassies in this whole camp. Now, the question that I pose, and maybe you can help me, maybe Rodney can help, maybe I'll text WAP and ask. Maybe some of you can help in the comments. Because Cassie have been paid, because she got the 30 million, because she woke up a sleeping giant, And now Diddy is in jail fighting for his life, telling people he's going to commit suicide. In all of the tapes that they found, if Cassie is in any of those tapes or found doing anything or abusing anybody, what happens then? Is Cassie, and I'm not, I don't want her, I'm just saying,
interesting speculation.
For Cassie and anybody who was paid, if the people who Diddy already paid out, what if they are in these tapes doing things to other people? What happens then? So it's just like a lot of dynamics. I just have a bunch of questions, about, because because there's so many people in those tapes, baby. I don't even know if I want to see them.
Oh, I don't want to see the tapes. I do not want to see those tapes.
Some of your favorite psalmists, some of your favorite preachers, some of your favorite athletes are in those tapes, beloved. Your Monets, your Mary J. Bliges, your Carisha Pleases, and all these people are dead. Your Kim like Diddy, you my friend, maybe
a little too horny. That's what it is. That's what it gives. I think let's go to the comments a little bit. I like this comment from Ebony Hill. Thank you, Ebony, for tuning in. She says, it's not easy getting out of an abusive relationship. I believe she wanted something real out of him and thought being submissive to his needs would do it. I don't think she enjoyed it at all. I absolutely agree with the line that says, I believe she wanted something real out of him and thought being submissive to his needs would do it. When you are dating a man, in a relationship with a man who is an alpha, who is prestigious, who is a mogul, Diddy comes with a lot of power. And I'm sure when you're in his presence around other people, you feel that power and you probably naturally go into a more submissive role. My thought is also that men probably take a more submissive role to him too, and say, oh, this is you know what I'm saying? And treat him with that respect and revere. And from a woman's perspective, that you would fall into a more submissive role. So I agree with that. I think
Diddy also raises you to another level. Diddy also, when you're in his presence, he takes your life to another level as well.
But let me say this, and I'm going to call on Safia to help us answer this maybe. But from a legal perspective, right? Because this is what I want to know. At what point are we talking about consent versus abuse? Because if I consent to be there, and at what point is it coercion versus consent? Because if I'm agreeing to be submissive because I want to get something out of him, maybe I want this relationship, maybe I want this lifestyle, maybe I want my music career to be amplified. At what point does that change, right? Because you're in a relationship with somebody and some days are better than others, right? That's why people are in abusive relationships for a long time. And the thing is like, we talk about toxic relationships a lot and how there's a lot of toxic moments and things of that nature. I do believe that Cassie was in an abusive relationship. We saw it on tape. I mean, he was kicking her, dogging around on the ground in a towel in the hallway. The girl was running out the hotel room with no shoes on. He didn't pay her $30 million for nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He absolutely did not. I'm interested to know at what point this changed, because you don't get into the relationship and that's how it starts. So I hope that when we look at these tapes, because Cassie is an extended relationship. Some of these tapes are going to be one-nighters, two-nighters, all weekers. And is this abuse, these people that are on these tapes? Or are they tapping into Diddy's sexual fantasies, fulfilling their own fantasies, things of that nature? Because just because it's different sexually to the normal folk like us doesn't mean that this is abuse. So, and I offer this to the audience and you as well. Should Cassie be taken off the table because she has taken the $30 million settlement? Should he have to go to jail for should he have to be held accountable for the abuse in their relationship based on the agreement of this $30,000 settlement? Because it sounds like New York just said, we gonna pick him up anyway. Even though you guys got your own NDA, we still are gonna press these charges because clearly they're using that relationship.
Well, here's the thing that I would say. I don't know about any of the legal experts on, but this is what I would say. Diddy had been under investigation for a while.
Oh yeah.
We're just getting the information. But I know that we mentioned, and this may not be this, you know what? I'm gonna speak to something else. I know we're talking about Cassie, but over the last 60, 90 to a year or so, and again, I'm not blaming nobody because I don't know, but let me preface by saying this, put a pin in that. Having different types of sex, it is not a crime when you're having it with adults.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're using lubricant, baby oil, Vaseline, it does not matter. If you are doing this with an adult, married couples have swingers, orgies, and all that stuff all the time. That is what they're into. That is what they feel like keep their marriage together. That's one thing. Consenting as an adult is another thing. Now, if there's any children involved and you're drugging people, now Diddy, you got a bigger problem. So a lot of people in my readings, a lot of people feel like Diddy is going to get off speak because all of these were adults. Diddy, I hope
adults.
I hope it ain't children on them. See, that is what we gotta. I mean, they found you with pink powder. Okay, you getting high. All right. They found you with guns. What's on the guns? What's happening, Diddy? And when Diddy first came on the scene, friend, we didn't see any of this.
Mm-hmm.
It was backwards. But guess what? What we have to remember is what my brother Tupac said: "Rest in peace."
Yeah. And here's the thing about the sex trafficking, you guys. The sex trafficking is if he paid for sex workers to come from Miami to New York. That is considered sex trafficking. So of course we think about sex trafficking, like how we see it in the movies where it's like you're kidnapping girls and you're taking them from America to Venezuela and they're like in these homes. That's not what they're talking about here in this case.
Wait, but did that happen? Do we know if there are any girls from Venezuela?
No, I'm just saying, from what I understand, the only sex workers that I learned about in the affidavit were male sex workers that were hired and paid to indulge in these freak offs.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I mean, listen, this is embarrassing. I mean, Diddy is a father of 6 or 7 kids. Cassie is a mother to 2 and a wife. And I'm sure all of these other names that have yet to be leaked are going to come out. And it's going to be an interesting time for folk to say, oh, so you participated in these parties. Because this is the thing. These celebrities, listen, y'all know who's on these tapes. One of the journalists asked the prosecutor, do you feel like, you got to pay more attention to Diddy because these are the same prosecutors who arrested Jeffrey Epstein, and he committed suicide while he was in police custody. So he never made it to trial. And they're saying, do you have any worries about Diddy kind of doing the same thing? And they said, not specifically because of the whole Jeffrey Epstein situation, but yes, that, when people are under, this kind of situation, they do keep an eye on them and things of that. So, I'm interested to see how all of this will play out. I think, of course, the media is going to everyone has to have their day in court. Is he guilty of some things? Probably so. You know what I'm saying? The feds don't pick you up just for no reason. That's what we know.
But
Diddy didn't pay that girl $30 million for no reason.
Diddy had been paying out a lot of money. And here's the other thing that I would say. They're showing us a lot of things that we didn't pay attention to. They're showing it to us again, like him and Cassie standing next to each other at the Met Gala, and she said something, and he looked at, baby, let me tell you something. Diddy is a menace.
So let me ask you this. Do you feel that Cassie is liable for anything? Because I ask you this. Do you think that she helped in the recruitment of other people?
Cassie is a beautiful woman. Here's the thing. Diddy knows about the power of seduction that a woman can give.
Yes.
Diddy knows about the power of seduction that a man can give, which is why, to your point, all of his women were beautiful. All of them. And if you have to use a beautiful woman to get another beautiful woman, if you got to use a beautiful woman to get a handsome man, then guess what? That's how we going to do it, right? Because not everybody attracted to Diddy's money, Diddy or his money. And so if you want something, Diddy can very well, again, we're talking about orgies and freak offs. Anything is happening in here.
Yeah.
So I want to speak, and I know we got to wrap up, but you know what I'm remembering? A lot of people gonna play there are a lot of people who gonna play a role in this. Carisha, you tweeted, niece. You tweeted, you tweeted to that girl, shut up before I make Diddy have you come over here and give me. Look, let me tell you something. She felt okay with saying that to that girl because those are the things that are happening. And listen, Carisha was sitting high, babe, because they went together real bad. So she felt like, I got it, I'm in. I don't know what y'all talking about. We just saw her interview with Santana. I love him. See, they didn't think it was going to be this big. And you got to be careful about your associations because it's coming for you.
Listen, the thing is we saw the abuse of Cassie on that tape from 2016. It's 2024. We know that was towards the tail end of their relationship. We saw Diddy spiraling around that time with drugs and alcohol. Remember, he was all over the place. I say that to say, Carisha in her interview, when she was talking about Diddy, she said that she met him at a point in his life where he was very different. And so I think these are the skeletons of his past.
I don't believe that.
You don't think he was current?
No, ma'am. I believe
this is him.
Carisha was coached. Carisha went through them questions and answers before she got up there. Niece is not, no. She was so well spoken. We know she ain't even that well spoken. They coached her. Niece, you did not meet him when he was on a love journey.
Because that's what the girl said, honey.
No, you didn't. Stop what you're doing. You met him when you met him when he was Diddy the diddler. You ain't in it, but she had to find something to say to try to disassociate herself. No, ma'am.
Well, one thing she said that she ended it with saying, like, listen, he's a mogul. I earned my keep. I was in love with him. You know, he didn't take me to Chanel and let me have this shopping spree for no reason. But, you know, Carisha has been open about being a hoe. She's called herself a hoe. She said that, you know, that was her thing. She came out as a city girl and saying, you know, men got to pay like they weigh. So this was the perfect arrangement for them, to be honest. And he's much older than her. So that was a relationship she signed up for. Again, Cassie was in a relationship with this older guy, powerful, influential. I don't believe she signed up for that initially. And I know, like, looking back, I always wondered, I'm like, why doesn't she marry him? Why doesn't she have a child with him? Like, you know, I think he had 1 or 2 kids while they were in, you know.
Nobody.
Yeah, he never married anyone.
But then you got this 1-year-old who they done stripped of her little passport. Diddy ain't married nobody. He just had all these beautiful kids. And let me tell you, as a mother, I feel so bad for those children watching those boys go in and out of that courtroom, the one that looked just like him, because those boys have already experienced the death of their mother. And God forbid
Right.
if it comes out that he has something to do with their mother's death, Diddy, I don't know what to tell you.
Man, that's the part that we can't bypass. Diddy got 6 kids. 3 of them have a mother that passed away. So these kids don't have a mother and a father right now. And those girls just graduated high school. Listen, we're going to keep those kids in prayer. This is the story to watch. Diddy will be sitting in jail the entire time he is fighting his case. The entire time.
That's correct. And he asked for a bail and they denied it.
And his attorney said that he turned himself in.
Diddy, your money can't even get you out of this one.
Oh, no. The feds ain't letting him get off on this. The judge said, no, you too powerful. You too powerful. This is the end of an era. So to Ebony's point, bye-bye, Diddy. Diddy is done. It's a wrap.
But here's the thing. And you know what's happening? This is bigger than Diddy. Listen, you got your Clive Davis that left Whitney up there in the pool and they still had their party. You got your man Quincy Jones. They swept all his stuff under the rug. We ain't seen Louis Heaven Campbell. You got Justin Bieber, who was sitting out there scared to death. Listen, it's bigger. Where are the parents? Justin Bieber parents knew that boy was too young. You got Usher. Usher is an amazing performer. They done trick baby.
Listen, it is going to unravel. It is going to unravel.
I'm just going to listen for names, but I'm not going to watch it. Because if you think that the FBI is going to conceal any of those people, the FBI is going to tear them people apart and show every piece. They're going to send it to their kids, their wives, their schools, their churches, industry.
Coming.
It's going to be no secret.
This is coming. And please, I don't want to hear anything about they're coming for our Black millionaires and billionaires. I don't want to hear that.
At the orgies, y'all at the orgies doing all kind of stuff and your wife at home in bed waiting for you. We don't want to hear it.
I don't want to hear it. All right. Well, listen, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us tonight. Listen, it was a great show. We had our girl Yakia on with us tonight. Yakia, when you are not here on Clapback Culture, where can they find you?
Find me. You can follow one of my 25 pages. Follow me on Instagram at The King's Mrs. You can find me on Instagram at Speak Well Podcast. You can find me on YouTube at Speak Well Podcast. Find me over on Facebook, Yakia Wilson. But don't forget, if you lose a loved one, call me before you call the Undertaker. Jules, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. And you can have me anytime, girl. Not like at the Diddy parties, but you can have me.
Not like that. No Diddy, no Diddy, no Diddy, no Diddy, no Diddy. All right, y'all. Well, listen, I'm Jules Jesse. You guys can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Treasure of JULES. You know what it is. But until then, until next week, it has been real. Pull up. Let me know what you want to talk about next week. Peace.